Now, as we hit the sort of international break for the first stage of the season, obviously Bristol Rovers continuing in League Two after their relegation to the fourth tier of English football. Obviously, Rovers that they've certainly shown early signs of improvement under the leadership of the return of Darrell Clarke. Obviously, that was massive news for the Gas fans who wanted to see him come back. Had a load of nostalgia from his previous spell there, but he came in and he sort of set that groundwork, saying, "Look, I know what I've done in the past. I know how much success we've had, but I'm not there to sort of look back at that. I want to make sure we really galvanise together and start a new, fresh journey together." 1-0 away at Grimsby Town, their first away win since January. I mean, it's little signs like that where you have to look at Rovers now and you sort of say, these things weren't clicking, they weren't going their way at all. And for it to have been 9 months since an away win, obviously you have that period away, but, 6 or 7 months of playing football without an away win is unbelievable. So that's something they've already done this season. They are looking more defensively solid. They're looking more disciplined tactically as well under Clarke. It seems the fans are on board. So our correspondent, Dan, what can you tell us about where Bristol Rovers currently are, how they've sort of managed to get a bit of improvement going throughout the side? It was hard to get any worse, really, from the last season or two. For ending in their relegation. So, Dan, what can you tell us in terms of the Gas and where they are and how much more they have to improve on, but certainly some positivity to take into the remainder of the year and really sort of get rid of those demons that have just been over them for the past 12 or so months?
You're right, Charles, and obviously Bristol Rovers, they don't take part in the international break because League Two isn't affected by that, so they'll keep playing this weekend. But I think you're right. It's been sort of an up and down time for the club. Certainly, of course, we've mentioned it so much, just how much disappointment there was from the relegation from League One last season. But then there was a lot of positivity in pre-season. A lot of signings came in. Darrell Clarke came in and he brought John Stead, he brought Reece Carr as his assistants, and they won a couple of matches in pre-season as well. And the feel-good factor was really growing and things at the club seemed good. In fact, Darrell Clarke himself commented that there was positivity at the club and that the attitude of the players was really quite good. And yet when the season started, all of a sudden things really just fell off a bit of a cliff and they just couldn't buy a win at all, whether it be home or away. And you thought, well, goodness me, how is this season actually going to go? Are the players just not gelling right? Was there too many new arrivals, which of course you perhaps thought was needed initially because of just how bad things were, but then it seemed as if they just weren't working all together. Darrell Clarke criticised the players. He said that they were miles off it at times and that they need to be better and understand more tactically, sorry, what he wanted. And then eventually a win came against Cambridge United at home in the league, and then followed closely by a win on penalties in the EFL Trophy against Tottenham Hotspurs under 21s, and then another win away at Grimsby Town. So it was a bad start of the season, but it's picked up since. They've had 2 wins, 6 points, of course, plus that win on penalties in the EFL Trophy, which got them 2 points, one for the draw, one for the shootout win. So you could argue that going into this period and as the summer starts to end, things are looking a bit more rosy. Of course, they've brought in a few more additions right at the end of the transfer window. And so they'll obviously take time to settle in, but you just hope that Darrell Clarke has done enough to get the players who have been here for quite a while all bedded in now. Certainly would appear that way given the wins have started to flow. But it's just an interesting time for the club because you can't really predict just how about or whereabouts they are as a club at the moment. I think that's the worry. That are these wins right? Are they making some progress, or are they just sort of a bit of a stopgap? And what was felt at the start of the season might come back to bite them again. So hard to know about where they are, but you have to say and take the positives from the 2 wins they've had in the league, and hopefully that can actually be used as a springboard for them for future successes.